and welcome to Showcase, TRT World's daily arts and culture programme coming to you from Istanbul. Let's begin by taking a look at today's headlines. Alicia Vikander and Michael Fassbender premiere their new movie at the Venice Film Festival. The sci-fi film Arrival touches down in Italy at the Venice Film Festival. Art at the Istanbul Triennial is helping visitors empathise with refugees around the world. Day 2 is in the books at the Venice Film Festival. Thursday was headlined by The Light Between Oceans, starring Michael Fassbender and Alicia Vikander.
Dearest Isabel, I can't stop thinking about the time I spent with you.
The light between oceans might be filled with anguish, but the heavy material didn't prevent some real-life bliss.
To be loved by you.
The film's stars, Alicia Vikander and Michael Fassbender, became a couple during filming. The pair attended the movie's world premiere on Thursday at the 73rd Venice Film Festival. Based on Emil Stedman's debut novel, The Light Between Oceans is the tragic tale of a lighthouse keeper, Tom, and his wife, Isabel. The couple has already suffered 2 miscarriages when they discover a baby in a shipwrecked boat and decide to adopt it.
She needs us. We're not doing anything wrong.
It's trauma that a lot of people can relate to, and it's one of those things that I felt like I found it as the biggest mystery, wondering what it's like to one day have a child. I think I've always imagined myself maybe having a family in the future. And I think to sit there knowing that half of the audience or half of the women maybe watching it will just feel just like, she doesn't really know.
Your name? Lucy.
Years after the couple decides to raise the baby as their own, they meet the child's real mother, Hannah.
Her husband and their baby daughter were lost to the sea.
She's still devastated over the loss of her child and her husband, Franz, who drowned before the baby was rescued.
You saw what we've done to her.
There was one thing to take away from it, it's forgiveness. And it's the character of Franz who says to Hannah, you need to forgive and let go. There's so many elements in this film, and again, you know, we see it today with the immigration scenario. You know, what happens to Franz is also something that we can see, we relate to today.
The film's director, Derek Cianfrance, is no stranger to heartbreak. His previous movies, Blue Valentine and The Place Beyond the Pines, both deal with doomed relationships.
With this movie, I was really interested in that kind of emotional, that kind of what happens when your heart leads and not your brain. And I think that's what Tom, at this moment, I think he finds himself in this moment, you know, when they find the baby, and he can save his wife's life with this child, and he chooses, I mean, it's an impossible decision. What do you do between duty and love, between truth and love? And I feel like the characters in my films, and in this film is no different, they normally choose with emotions, and it's dangerous to choose with emotions.
The Light Between Oceans is one of 20 films competing for the Golden Lion Award at this year's Venice Film Festival. It hits the big screens worldwide starting September the 2nd.
With love forever and ever.
Another movie that made its debut in Venice was Arrival. Amy Adams plays the lead role in the sci-fi thriller. She'll compete against herself for Venice's Golden Lion when another film she stars in opens later at the festival.
Good morning. Today we are talking about Romance languages.
When spacecraft touch down around the world, it's up to a linguist played by Amy Adams to communicate with the life forms and figure out if they're friend or foe. It's a tall task, but even more so when mankind is teetering on the verge of a global war.
What happens now?
You're right. Oh my God.
Jeremy Renner co-stars as a physicist that works alongside Adams.
What the hell is she doing?
Arrival was directed by French-Canadian Denis Villeneuve and has drawn praise in Venice for its emotional depth.
I was drawn by the intimate the intimacy of it. And then I always felt like I was, through all of that, it still felt like a very personal story to this woman. And that was what I was drawn to. And then also what I thought complicated the movie as well, because, you know, there is this other element of sort of this global conflict and sort of what's going to happen. So you have to keep that in mind as well. But working with Denis and talking to Denis about it, that was ultimately the thing. Like, I just knew I had to work with this director.
Although the film deals with the arrival of another life form, its focus is more on humanity, love and loss.
Yeah, I mean, there's something really, I think, fascinating that the film kind of touches on is in its when humanity is at its worst, it also allows itself to find at its best with compassion, and I think that's displayed a bit in this film. And when there's a unity and not division, there's something really quite powerful in all that. If we could all accept the fact that we're all sort of one, it's a pretty powerful sort of thought, I think.
Arrival is competing against 20 other movies for the Golden Lion, including fashion designer Tom Ford's Nocturnal Animals, which Adams also stars in.
When you have Tom Ford, who's so great, and you have Denis Villeneuve, I think you can't help but get excited about what the potential for the films are going to be. I'm just lucky enough to get to be in the films, so thereby I think I get, you know, sort of pulled along in the conversations, but I don't think about it too much, really. At this point, I try not to sort of concern myself with the result, you know.
The 73rd Venice Film Festival will announce its awards on September the 10th.
Do trust me.
Art dealing with refugees is finding a home in Istanbul's Taksim Square. Dozens of artists from around the world are displaying work to raise awareness of the refugee crisis at the Third Istanbul Triennial.
Refugee experiences are front and center at the Taksim Cumhuriyet Art Gallery in Istanbul. The city's Third International Triennial is centered around the theme of No Land. 40 artists are using their work to highlight the lives of people forced to flee their homes.
We're increasingly living with these issues. In Turkey, we're close enough to Syria and Iraq to understand their pain. There's currently a global war and everything is playing out on that terrain. Imperialist countries are trying to draw other countries into the war and take their natural resources. As a reaction to all these things, we decided to go with the refugee theme.
The purpose of the exhibition is deeply personal for all the artists involved. All of them are migrants.
I've been working on this project for 1 year. Because of the theme, we wanted to invite artists who had experienced migration. Most of them are Syrian, but we also have a Slovenian artist and an Iraqi artist living in Poland.
The hope is that visitors to the exhibition will leave more informed and more willing to work for change. The Triennial runs from September the 3rd to the 25th.
To give us more insight on the Third Istanbul Triennial, I'm joined in the studio by one of the event's organisers, Gülay Kaplan. Hello and thank you for joining us.
Thank you for inviting us.
Tell us about this year's theme, No Land. With so much forced migration in the world, it seems like a right time to do this.
Yeah, it does, yeah. After the Second World War II, this is the biggest crisis, refugee crisis taking place. And we have to do something and we have to raise awareness. And there's so much politics in it, and I think that's the best way of expressing your view through art. So contemporary art is the best way to, and we couldn't, of course, you have to take place. So that was the reason why they chose the theme of No Land.
No Land.
Yeah.
Well, because of that theme, there's quite a few number of Syrian refugees, as well as artists from other parts of the world. Tell us about the selection process, how you chose the artists and the art.
Okay, actually that's how I involved in the project. Hülya Yazıcı is the creator of this project. She met an artist from Syria. He knows so many artists from around the world, refugee artists, and that's how they involved. And how we involved is we have a Syrian kids with a Turkish kids project, two hands, one brush. And Syrian kids and Turkish kids comes together, 10 years old actually, comes together, create one canvas, and they create an artwork. Besides the differences of language, culture, and everything, they come up with an artwork, and that's how we take place in the exhibition.
I didn't know about that one. That sounds like an amazing project. Are there any personal favorites among that you're looking forward to people seeing in the triennial?
Yes, it's actually there is one Slovenian artist. She established to bring the roots of the plants. She's talking about the civil wars and the kids died in the civil wars. And that's the best place, one of the best way to, it's dramatic. It's, you know, it strikes you for sure. Because she hadn't, well, you should come and see. I should keep that inside. But what she did is she raised awareness on civil war, on effects on the kids, and how with the roots and everything, moving one place to another place, how difficult it is to live. So that's one of them.
That's one of them. Okay, we'll make sure to see that one. Tell us where the triennial is taking place this year, and can anybody visit? And I hear the artists spilling out onto the streets.
Yeah, that's the best part actually. Our location is at Taksim, which is the Taksim Square, right center of Istanbul. It's really easy to come, so we invite you all. And because where we take place, the building, it's pretty amazing building, old building, but because it's the part of municipality, it's not known much. So that's why we are taking art on the streets to say we are here. And there is a graffiti taking place right in front of the building. Also, there is going to be a structure right in front of the building. So you won't miss us there.
Okay, sounds great. Gülay Kaplan, thank you very much for joining us in Showcase.
Thank you for inviting us.
And still to come on Showcase. A London museum plans to celebrate Pink Floyd's 50th birthday in style. Famed fashion designer is laid to rest in Paris. And now for a quick look at some other stories from the world of arts and culture. Stay tuned for our news roundup, Shortcuts. Jackie Chan is to join the ranks of Lauren Bacall, Francis Ford Coppola and Spike Lee by receiving an honorary Oscar. The Academy will recognize the martial artist's glittering career that has seen him become a cultural icon. The 62-year-old is known for his comic timing and acrobatic fighting style. He has appeared in more than 150 movies since becoming a child actor in his native Hong Kong in the 1960s. Chris Brown has dropped a new song following his arrest for allegedly threatening a woman, and the lyrics may be obliquely taking aim at her. It is entitled "What Would You Do?" and talks about not wanting to lose a love interest. Brown has a long history of violence against women, and police were at his Los Angeles home early Tuesday. 2016 Miss California Regional Bailey Curran said that the singer pointed a gun at her. He was released the next day on a $250,000 bail. Baz Luhrmann's 2001 cult musical film Moulin Rouge is being developed for the stage, its producers said Thursday. Skyfall and Gladiator writer John Logan will team up with director Alex Timbers for the project. Like the film, the show will follow a writer who falls in love with a cabaret star in Paris. The cast and opening venue will be announced at a later date. Dubai is a tourist destination known for its shopping malls and luxury resorts, but it's aiming to add high culture to its list of attractions. On Wednesday, the city opened an opera house in the shadow of the world's tallest building, the Burj Khalifa. The 2,000-seat venue accepted its first guest for a performance by Spanish tenor Placido Domingo. The 60,000 square meter opera house hopes to attract tourists from the region and around the world in the coming months. They entranced audiences for decades with their rebellious and psychedelic music. Now Pink Floyd is being rewarded with a big-time 50th birthday present, an exhibition at the Victoria and Albert Museum in London.
In many Pink Floyd songs, pigs represent the wealthy and powerful. But on Wednesday, the swine had a different message. It was floating above London's prestigious Victoria and Albert Museum to announce plans for the launch of a major Pink Floyd retrospective. In May, the band will mark 50 years since the release of its first single, Arnold Lane. And the museum will host the Pink Floyd exhibition, Their Mortal Remains. Beginning in the late 1960s, the band churned out complex, mind-bending tunes for 3 decades. And the group made 2 of the most successful albums of all time, Dark Side of the Moon and The Wall. The exhibition will emphasize the band's groundbreaking originality and its enduring appeal.
It's the fact that we still sort of exist and still seem to interest people after 50 years in an industry that was seen as entirely ephemeral by all of us when we first started. You know, I'm fond of reminding people that Ringo thought that he'd open a chain of hairdressers when the Beatles came to an end, and I don't think we saw any sort of 50 years ahead of us when we kicked off.
Pink Floyd was well known for using a wide array of visuals in tandem with their music. And the exhibition will celebrate the band's achievements in graphics, design, lighting, film, and photography.
In some ways it went against everything that rock and roll was meant to be about, which was about the principals being at the front of the stage in tight trousers, floodlit as they played their guitars or whatever. And actually we became interested in this idea of being able to sort of augment the music with whether it's just lights, but more so when it became film as well, and so the story or the idea of what was going on could be explained better and supported by the visuals.
The Pink Floyd exhibition opens on May the 13th and will run until October.
Although she almost always wore black, Sonia Rykiel was known for her brightly coloured striped sweater dresses. Brigitte Bardot and Audrey Hepburn were early promoters of her style that took off in the 1960s. Rykiel is now being remembered for her contributions to the fashion industry after she passed away last month.
The French designer Sonia Rykiel may be gone, but her fashion prowess is not being forgotten. The Queen of Knits passed away on August 22nd after struggling with Parkinson's disease. She was 86. Friends and family came to bid farewell as she was laid to rest Thursday in Paris. Fellow fashion designers Albert Elbaz and Jean-Charles de Castelbajac paid their respects. Former French Prime Minister Lionel Jospin also attended.
She also influenced society, and her creations were her manifests. Her vision of a woman, the way she looked over their bodies or their look, and the way she had in guessing their movements, held her 1,000 miles away from conservatism and inscribed in modernity.
Riquiel was a fixture in the Paris scene since launching her own fashion house in 1968, and she was praised for helping to usher in a new era of freedom in women's fashion.
Sonia has been a total visionary, and a role into the woman's story is not limited to fashion. It's more linked to emancipation, to fight for woman emancipation. And all her work is about freedom. All her work is about changing the things and changing the rules. So she's been, and she will be, very important because she leaves an immortal traces.
Riquiel was laid to rest at the Montparnasse Cemetery on Paris's left bank, the same area she helped cement as the capital of couture.
That's it on Showcase from TRT World Istanbul. But before we go, we leave you with the latest trailer of Max Steel. We'll be back soon with more from the world of arts and culture. I'm Özlem Şiten. Thank you for joining us, and bye for now.
We're home, Max. Fresh start.
Fresh start number 9.
No more moving around. I promise.
And we have a new student, Mr. McGrath. Max McGrath. You're not Jim McGrath's son, are you?
Why does everybody in this town know more about Dad than I do? You knew my dad. I need to know about his work.
Your father was working to find a way to harness energy beyond anything that mankind has ever attempted. He was right on the edge of a breakthrough.
What's happening to me?
Max?
No, stay back!
My name is Steel.
What? You speak English.
Max!
My mom is coming.
Is my mom dangerous?
No, come on.
Go cold hands. You gotta clean in here, bud.
Did you do this to me?
No, Max, your father gave you these powers. I'm just here to show you how to use them. Let's get started. Max, you can use your energy in many different ways. You can run faster. Be stronger. And I haven't even shown you the best part yet.
What? This is awesome.
You're welcome.
Max?
Sophia.
You okay?
Yeah, just really late from my,
Okay, this is boring.
my Zumba class.
The girl appears to cause increases in heart rate. Perhaps you should avoid contact.
Perhaps you should shut up.
See? She has made you angry. The Ultralinks are here to destroy the Earth. And your energy is the only thing that can stop them. Time to suit up. Coming in hot, Max!
Oh, I can't believe I'm doing this.
You have to learn to control these powers.
Go right. Let's go left.
No, let's just go straight then.
Okay. Go, go! Run faster. So much faster!
Your father believed he can save the world. It's up to you now, Max.
Steel now! Go turbo!
You okay?
Yeah. 2 more bruises than usual.